This is an uncensored podcast about sex, sexuality, gender, and body stuff. Listener discretion is advised. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the person or persons sharing them. Some names have been changed to protect the anonymity of its participants. Hello, friends. It's Drew Michael, and this is Make Sex With Me, a podcast where sometimes we're not sweaty bitches because sometimes we take a shower first. I did. I took a shower. It was so nice. I'm a little drunk, to be honest with you. It's a weird situation where I'm recording ahead of time. I'm like being smart, recording ahead of time. But I did just stop by the local Mexican restaurant and had possibly 2.5 margaritas. And I'm recording. And I'm thinking about a glass of Prosecco, just so you know. So halfway through this, if I start talking a little bit like this, then you'll know. I paused it and got a glass, and now I'm drunk. I wouldn't do that to you guys. Honestly, your listenership means the world to me. In fact, I'd love it if you would rate, review, and subscribe. 5 stars, please. And email us, makesexwithmepodcast@gmail.com. We're not going to waste any time tonight because I don't have a lot of time to waste this week. I am in it. Okay, I have Tech Week starting tomorrow for my show, Sister Act. I have submitted a tape for another show already. I don't know why I'm doing this, but I think it's because I love theater. I'm not sure. There's a production of Tommy, The Who's Tommy, happening at this local theater, and I've heard, have started giving their actors a stipend. Can you imagine being an actor and getting paid? Can you even imagine? It is like unheard of in all the everywhere I've ever done any acting. Hold on. I'm scratching my grundle. It wasn't quite grundle, was it? I don't know. It was real close to my asshole, just so you know. But I'm clean, just took a shower. Asshole is spotless. Would invite just about anyone to come over and check it out. I have had it. Let's talk about what I've had it with. I'm just going to steal this from the I've Had It podcast because I love them so much. And they don't listen to my podcast, so they'll never know. And that's an idea. It's a free idea. Anyone can have it, can have had it with whatever. It's a free idea. I've had it with so many boys that I like and seem to like me, and I've just fucking had it with them. You know, I've had it with guys who I just like. I'm like, oh my god, hi, how are you? And they do nothing, and I just keep trying to hang out with them, keep trying to get their attention, keep flirting with them, keep trying to imagine that they like me, and they don't. And I'm not really sure what is damaged about me, but it's starting to become one of these things where I'm like, I've had it with the tolerance that I have for people who don't give a shit about me when I give a lot of shits about them. It is just really not even like they're bad people. It's nothing to do with them. It is just the fact that I would allow them to no, not let me rephrase that. It's the fact that I would allow myself to keep it's like someone shot my horse in the head and I'm just like what is that saying? Trying to not trying to ride a dead horse. Oof. I can't remember cliches right now. The tequila erased my ability to say things that have been said too much that people don't understand the meaning of anymore. Well, that's probably for the best. Um, so that's what I've had it with. I saw this guy that I think is adorable, and he works at an ice cream shop of sorts. And I went and got ice cream from him, and I was just kind of like, hi. And I was just like, I'm not even gonna like act like I'm interested in you anymore because I can't handle like you being nice to me and then like me texting you and being like, you want to hang out? And you being like, crickets, you know? Like, you're just being nice to me because you're a nice person. But like, I did ask this guy out and he like was kind of like no response. So no response is a no response, right? I have to get that through my fucking head. That being said, he's adorable and I don't need to like date him. I just want to like make out, you know? He's so yummy. He's so yummy and I don't know that he actually knows he's so yummy. And that's even yummier. Anyway, I could cover him in ice cream and lick it off. All right, so that sounds rapey. Thanks. This week we're not going to talk about that anymore. This week we're going to talk about a few things that I wrote down. Let's be really professional. I made a voicemail about it. I made a voice message about it. And I want to play some of that voice message live because that's the style of this podcast. We don't edit things unless we have a guest who's really incredible. What does this say? Let's see if you can hear it. Can I put it on speaker? Meemaw. Put it on speaker.
Episode notes for next week. Want to talk about hair. Want to talk about Tommy.
Well, okay, I got that much. Oops, what am I recording again? What the fuck? What has happened? Okay. Hair and Tommy. So, Hair is a musical also. I auditioned for Hair a while back. I think it might have been last spring or something, and I got in. And this was a theater that is, like I said, it's around here. It's kind of like a community theater, but they're just a lot more professional. They have actors who are better trained. They have like, they actually pay their set people and they have set designers and they have like good costumes and like they just, it's like just a level, at least one level above what I've been used to doing. By the way, can I interrupt myself for a special announcement? Trump got shot at a rally, and this was literally couldn't give two shits. Absolutely don't want to kill anybody, wouldn't be involved in any part of killing anybody, even if I hated the person. But I do hate Trump, and if he died, wouldn't give two shits. Absolutely wouldn't give two shits. Do I think we need to live in a world where like American presidents can be assassinated? No, but they have been already. And also like America's probably assassinated other government leaders. So we kind of do live in a world where that can happen. You know what I mean? So I remember when Trump got COVID and I was like, oops, he could die, you know, and it was like literally not praying for him to die. I would never pray for anyone to die. I also don't pray, but like, was just like, wouldn't that be nice? You know, if he just got sick and died, especially when he has been a total asshole this entire pandemic. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be convenient? Not nice, just convenient. Okay. Recently this happened and I'm thinking to myself, that would be convenient. Okay. And the person who apparently tried to kill him was a registered Republican. That's actually true. So I don't know. And there's more to it than that. I haven't really listened to more. But anyway, the worst thing that I can see about all this is that like the right is like coming up with crazy fucking conspiracies about this already. It's like these people are on a fucking cult. There's nothing they can do but come up with crazy conspiracy theories to make sense of shit that doesn't make sense. You know, they're following a guy who is terrible and wants literally the worst for this country. Yeah, they're about to like ruin this country or attempt to every chance they get if he's reelected. And if somebody shot him, no, I would not be upset. I'm so sorry. I wouldn't be. You know what I mean? I get upset when people that I know and care about die. That's what I get upset about. All right. Not when people I don't know and don't care about die. I mean, Richard Simmons died today or yesterday or something. Fucking Shannon Doherty. I'm upset about that. I love Shannon Doherty. I cried when 90210 went off the air. No. I cried. I was alive when 90210 was on the air. I cried when the reruns of 90210 ran out. I was like watching reruns because I wasn't really invested in the show when it was on the air. I remember it being there, but just like was too young to care. I was like still watching The Simpsons. But then later on, I was a little older and I was like reruns of it and I was watching those. And I remember watching the final episode of that and that ran out. And I started crying because I like loved 90210 and I love Melrose Place. Oh my God. I like watched Melrose Place because it did the same thing for me that 90210 did. It wasn't as good, but it was like a close second. And I was so young, I don't remember any of it. I could literally go back and watch it all now in memory of Shannon Doherty, and it'd be amazing. Also, Dr. Ruth died. I feel like that needs to be talked about on this podcast because this is a sex podcast, and Dr. Ruth did amazing things for sex, the sexual world, sexual education, blah, blah, blah. Let's write that down. Let's where's the podcast notes? Let's add this to the official notes of the podcast that we need to have a Dr. Ruth episode. Yes. I will research it and make that so special. All right. So there's that. Anyway, the worst thing that I can say about this assassination attempt is that I am realizing fucking boom, 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 like fucking dominoes falling over. How many people that I associate with and I did not realize that they like care an inkling about Donald Trump. It is fucking my brain because I lived in a world before I moved here to South Carolina where like 90% of the people I'd come across all kind of believed what I believed as far as politics went. And I moved down here and I knew it was going to be like conservative. But I mean, like, you have people and you're like, oh, this person's from New York and they're super cool and they love me and they love gay people and they love people of color and they're just so cool and they seem so great. And this woman's like a school teacher and she's like, you know, just so wonderful. And then she posts on her Facebook today a picture of Donald Trump at the podium, like the one that he was at his rally. And behind him is an angel shielding him from bullets, presumably, with his hand on his shoulder. And it's like, okay, if there was a huge fucking angel behind Donald Trump, I don't think he would have had his ear shut off. You know, like, it wouldn't have happened even at all, by the way. But also, like, are you insinuating? And who the fuck was the artist that created that image so fucking quick? But are you insinuating that God is protecting Donald jumpin' jack butthole fuck Trump? Are you fucking insinuating that? What kind of bull fucking shit is that? I'm so sorry. Barf in my mouth, up, out my nose, out my ears, into my own butthole, back up through my esophagus, and back out my mouth. I just, I literally cannot. I literally cannot. So, and then there was like all these other people that I really know and like who were like talking about, they were like how crazy it was that it happened. And I'm like, well, yeah, it is kind of crazy that it happened. I mean, it's, with the American Secret Service, you should not be able to get that close to a president or a, you know, ex-president with a firearm like that. You shouldn't. So, I mean, that's not good. They're not good. But at the same time, some of these people were like, it's crazy. And then they started talking about like shit about that made me think that they really, really, really care about him. And I was just like, who the fuck are you? And a lot of these people I do theater with. So you're just assuming we're in theater. We're in a theater. A lot of the people here are going to be like pro arts, pro people of color, pro homosexuals, pro education, pro music, pro theater, like what we're doing here. I mean, for my whole life, the theater has been a safe space. And for the weirdos, the freaks, the queers, and for you all to be a part of this theater and you're supporting a candidate who wants to eradicate all of that or just doesn't give a shit enough to protect those things or those kinds of people, that is really weird. That is really weird to me. It makes me feel very unsafe. It makes me feel bad. And it also makes me feel like everyone I know has been fucking brainwashed. So that's fucking great. Keep in mind, my own parents are probably going to vote for Trump a third fucking time. And they don't even fucking understand how painful that is for me. Because they're voting for a candidate who wouldn't try to protect my civil rights or like has been anti-women, anti-people of color, anti-gay, has been anti-trans, has been like anti-military even. And they just think, oh, this is who we have to vote for. This is the Republican candidate. It's like, I cannot. I absolutely cannot. It's like something we don't talk about in my family because I don't think I can handle if they openly were talking about voting for Donald Trump. I don't think I can handle it. It breaks my fucking heart. And then their excuse of like, well, there's more to like politics than just the issues that matter to you. And it's like, all right, okay, cool. So like what other issues matter to you? My parents are just like, we just don't want anyone to touch our money. And it's like, you're not the ones who are going to have your money molested if you don't have a Republican in the White House. Like if a Democrat is in the White House, there's a better chance that they're going to charge rich people their fair fucking share for taxes, which is what should always be happening, by the way. But my parents are not the 1%. My parents are not rich. They are middle class. I can even say they're upper middle class. They're middle class. They're actually some of the people that suffer from having a Republican in the White House. They just don't fucking understand it. They don't fucking see it. It's pretty fucking cuckoo bananas. Anyway, I went on a fucking tangent. Sorry. It's the alcohol. Blame it on the oh. So going back, we're still talking about theater, however. Um, I got into the musical Hair a while back at this theater, the same one that's doing Tommy now. And I had a big issue. I don't know if you talked about it back in the time, but I was like so excited to be working with a more contemporary, more liberal theater, just like lots of good artistic expression and professionalism, and just like really a much more fun experience in my mind, creatively speaking. A lot more like minds. That's what I'm really interested in participating in. Um, but I went to a rehearsal and I was like, wow, this is a lot of work. They really do these shows really, really fast, and they work their performers really hard, and then we don't get paid, and I have to drive really far to get there. It was all like little mini red flags. I was like, oh God, this is going to be difficult. I have to be working and I'm not getting paid for this, and I have to drive, and it's like, you want me to be here 4 nights a week, and it's like, when the fuck am I supposed to like supplement my income at my part-time job with my other part-time job if I'm doing this with my time and I don't get paid any money? So I was like, this is going to be difficult, right? And I was like, when am I going to be able to record my podcast? Although now I'm thinking, just record all your episodes in the car. You're going to be driving all the time. Why not? It's kind of a good idea. So the thing that really made me say, I'm so sorry, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this show, is the fact that I read the musical and it was problematic, to say the least. It was difficult for me to get through reading the whole play of Hair, because there's legitimately a song that glorifies having sex with an underage girl. And it's not even like, having sex with an underage girl is really bad. It was just like, she's 16 and I love having sex with her. Yeah, yeah. It was just like really not okay. Super statutory rapey. Fully just rape, right? So, and I know it was a different time, and I don't know what the laws were in the 60s, but it's no longer legal to have sex with a 16-year-old girl. And we're doing the show now. So it was like kind of weird for me. And then there was just like a lot of, I don't know, a lot of looseness about like slurs, a lot of loose slurs that are like, they were said back then to be like, because back in the day, liberals were all about like self-expression and like don't hide anything. Let's talk about all the problems. Let's get them all that out on the table. Because I bet you back in the day, conservatives were taking the stance of like, don't bring this stuff up. Don't, we have this beautiful, peaceful community. Don't create problems where there aren't any. Don't say this. Don't say that. And in some ways, conservatives are still doing that. But we also have the side of conservatism now that's like, well, what about white rights? Why do black people get to say the N slur and white people don't get to say it? Like, that's not equal rights. We should be able to say everything that they get to say. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? How many times am I going to say, are you fucking kidding me? So yeah, back in the 60s, I feel like it was like expression to say all these words. And in within context of a point, right? But now I'm like, we don't need to sing the N slur. We don't need to do any of that. We don't need to like have a line in the play where only like the one black girl you've cast can say the line, because otherwise it's offensive. Let's take the line out. I don't know that we need the line. I did another play not too long ago on Golden Pond, and the lead actor was supposed to be racist, and it didn't make any sense for the character. I didn't think. You could have taken out any line that was like racist and it would have been totally fine. There was like maybe like 3 things he said that were racist. And if you wanted him to be like a mean old man, you could have still had people think he's a mean old man without him having to say the N-word. And it's like, this just not necessary. It made sense when the play was written. Doesn't make sense anymore. It doesn't have the same intentions anymore. Doesn't resonate the same way now. Take it out. Take it out. You know, I mean, analyze this stuff. Does it need to stay there, or is it actually tainting the play in a way? So, Hair for me was a no. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. It felt like I was going to just be like what's the word? Just allowing something that wasn't good to happen right in front of me and not do anything about it. The word starts with a C, I believe. It's going to come to me like later in the episode, and you're going to be like, and you guys are like shouting out at me right now. I almost said conscientious deserter. What is that even a thing? Oh God, it's right on the tip of my fucking tongue. All right, so anyway, complacent. I don't even care anymore. I finally thought of it and I don't even fucking care. So, complicit? Complacent. Complacent complacency? Complicit complacency? Maybe I don't even know. You know what? All of it. All the C words and cunt while we're at it. Thank you very much. So that was a no. Now we're looking at Tommy now, and Tommy is a play that was written by a rock band, and it was adapted for stage later by someone who is apparently a genius or something. And I just don't know the point of Tommy. I don't think there is a point. It's good rock music. Musically, yes. Lyrically, eh. The narrative of the play is totally stupid and unnecessary, and it doesn't leave you feeling anything but like, did I just watch that? I am on drugs now. I hated it. I hated it. I watched the video, which was more like a concept album set to like an ongoing an hour and 50 some minute music video, like fucking Beyonce before Beyonce, right? But not as good as Beyonce, I have to say personally. But just like different because it was made in a different time, obviously. And maybe it was like a big deal at the time to do like a musical concept movie. I don't know. And I know The Who was like fucking huge at the time, so that's awesome. But there's a lot of things that are insensitive that haven't aged well, including like, again, sex with a minor. So the rape of a minor who is not just a minor, but also disabled. And giving drugs to a minor with a disability, giving specifically acid, a minor with a disability being tortured by another minor, or possibly a young adult, a minor with a disability being raped and molested by his uncle, a family member, right? And then being neglected by his parents, and then just a bunch of stuff happens, and then eventually, like, so he can't see or hear or speak. They say he's deaf, blind, and dumb, because that's apparently what people used to say about that back in the day. But it turns out it wasn't that he was physically blind or deaf. It's that he witnessed a murder and it rendered him what seemed to be deaf, blind, and dumb. So he like just never reacted, never seemed to see anything or hear anything. You couldn't get to him. He was like lost in his own brain. But not exactly the same thing as being deaf and blind. Not exactly. So there's that. And then all of a sudden, his mother's like, "You've been staring in the mirror too long. I'm going to break the mirror, Tommy." And she throws something at the mirror and breaks it. Also, there's a scene where an Anne Margaret, like a gorgeous 1970s Anne Margaret, like is in a all white room with an all white outfit, and she like breaks her TV with a bottle of champagne, and then like bubbles shoot out all over her, and then like all of a sudden the bubbles turn into baked beans, and then all of a sudden the baked beans turn into what looks like chocolate pudding or like literally diarrhea. And then she's got this long cylindrical body pillow she's humping and like rolling around in shit. It's very trippy. That's not even the most trippy part. Okay. Guess who plays the sex worker that rapes the minor with a disability and gives him acid? Tina Turner. You're like, what? The best song and number in the whole play is called Pinball Warrior, and it's performed by Elton John in the movie, and he's like on stilts, but he's got these huge boots on. Each boot, it looks like it's the size of like a small car, and he's like, they go up to his little legs, and he's like up at the top, just like with these huge feet. Again, very trippy and very cool. And also the fucking cool thing about that is at the time they probably had to like physically make all of the costumes and set pieces and all the things that seem like illusions. They had to like create them physically. They couldn't just like create them with computers and they're not really there. You know, it's like those boots were made by somebody and they're probably like in a museum or they're in Elton John's bathroom or something. He probably has a bathroom the size of a gymnasium and they're probably in the center of the bathroom. They're inside of a bathtub full of like chocolate milk and dildos with dildos. So why do I want to have chocolate milk inside my butt suddenly? I feel like that would be really nice. Maybe. Would I have a lactose intolerance to milk up my butt? That's my real question. That's the whole purpose of this episode. I would like someone to let me know. If you could write in, please. So Tommy is problematic, has not aged well, and I don't understand. It's like everything is kind of in the context of the narrative, but I don't understand why it's so insensitive, and I also don't understand why it's anything. I don't understand why they made it at all. But I still want to be in a show with this company. But it brings up this whole thing in my mind of like, how do we deal with art that is problematic or art that is aged poorly or art that is what I would call irresponsible? How important is it that art is responsible? Can there be art that is just saying something about the current time and how things are without it promoting things that are not good? You know, like one of my favorite musicals, Cabaret, the MC has this whole dance where he's dancing with a gorilla. And of course, Cabaret happens in pre-World War II Berlin, on the dawn of, Nazism. I mean, Nazis are like already there and they're like about to come into full power. And there was actually like a kind of a queer renaissance in that time period where like everyone felt really comfortable in big cities like Berlin to be themselves and be artistic and creative and sexually explore. And part of the reason why those people were so quickly rounded up and exterminated once Hitler came to power was that everyone knew who they were. They were so out that it wasn't hard they already had the lists written with the names. They just said, these people, they're all degenerates. They all need to go to the camps, and they were all exterminated. They were some of the first people killed during the Holocaust were the queers and the people who were physically and mentally disabled. So there's that. But there's this number where the MC is dancing with a gorilla. And they do this. It's a fucking adorable dance and song. They're like, if you could see her through my eyes, da 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 dee da dee da. If you could see her through my eyes, da 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 dee da 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 da. I don't actually know all the words. I never got to play the part. I wanted to. Um, but at the end of the song, he puts like a little he offers her a ring, and since she's a gorilla, he puts it through her nose like a nose ring. Um, and at the end of the song, he's like, "And if you could see her through my eyes," and then he whispers really loudly to the audience, "She wouldn't look Jewish at all." And then it's like, and he's like, he has this big face on, like, "Oh my gosh, I said it, I said it." Um, and it's supposed to be satirical, right? It's a commentary about the world that they were living in, and parallel to that number, there's like in the stage show, there's a couple, and in the movie too. It's just a little different. In the stage show, it's an old couple. In the movie, it's like a young couple, and one of them is Jewish, and the other one isn't. But they fall in love with each other, and having to deal with that in a time when Jews were becoming increasingly unpopular in German society, and things were getting really dangerous for them, obviously. And to be in love with someone who's not allowed in society in the same way that you are is dangerous. So that's like, I think, a beautiful use of satire. And you understand that he's like making a joke, kind of, but only to like make you really see what's fucking really happening, and it's tragic. But I just don't feel like that with Tommy. It feels like he's just this little. First of all, he's a man playing a boy for most of the movie, and all these things are happening to him, and he's just looking blankly, and sometimes he's even kind of like smiling. It doesn't look like he's upset that he's been raped or tortured or drugged or raped again. And it just is like an adult man playing a kid who's like not reacting in a way to something that's like ruins someone's life. It's almost like, do you not think that that's terrible? Like, I don't know. I don't know. It's maybe just a terrible actor. Who knows? It's just weird. And this movie was like huge when it came out. Huge. It went all over the world. Everyone loved it. It was like, everyone thought it was genius. It was a masterpiece. They call it a masterpiece. The Who's Tommy is a masterpiece. And it was, I'm almost 100% sure it was that movie before it was adapted for stage. So that's the version that I would be doing, which might be a little bit different. But I don't know. I watched Tommy the other night, and I fell asleep actually watching it, because at the end, I have no fucking idea what happened at the end. It just got really bonkers. And I fell asleep, and I just remember waking up being like, oh shit, did I do acid last night? And then the next morning, like, because I woke up on the couch and had to get up to my bed, and then fell asleep again, and then had to get up in the morning and do my whole life. And I was just like, I feel like I got fucking fucked up. Like, what's going on? So what is to be done when art is a little sus or a little cringy? What is to be done? Is a modern audience too woke for art from the past? You know? And I say woke because I do think that I am woke. And well, there's two things about that. I don't like saying woke because it's kind of like, in my mind, it's kind of like saying I'm an ally of the black and brown communities. You know, it's like, I've said before, you don't get to call yourself an ally. Like, other people can call you an ally. You can't call yourself an ally. You could do everything in your power to act like an ally, and then eventually someone will call you that. But you can't go around telling people that you're an ally. I'm so sorry. You can't. It's like you can't win an Oscar because you just gave yourself an Oscar. You can't. You have to be given an Oscar, right? So, um, it's like people calling themselves the CEO of a company that they started that's not even they're the only person in the company, and the company is worth no money. Kind of like that, right? Um, I don't think that you can say you're woke. Like I feel like you have to act woke. You have to think woke. You have to like become woke. And it's one of those things too where it's like um you have to have experienced a lot of realizing that things are not how you were taught they were. And I think you have to be, to a certain extent, disenfranchised to be able to really experience wokeness. Um, I don't like what the right has been doing to woke, the whole woke thing. I don't like it coming out of their mouths. Um, I believe in being woke because I mean, I could say, if you don't want me to say woke, I could say I believe in being awakened, enlightened. I just think woke is kind of like the trendy word right now, but it's like literally like people that see things for what they truly are and what they have been. What is the actual history here of our peopleage? Peopleage? Personhood, civilization, humankind, species, fuck, peopleage. Um, I think that it's hard to be woke and look at this kind of thing from a long time ago and not be like, oh. But can things that are old be performed still? Is there a way we can change them? That's the other thing I was thinking of. Because the way people think has changed, you might have had an intention when you made this piece of art that it's no longer received in the same way now. And so the intention's lost. Like if your goal is to be like, I want this piece to be super liberal, really get people thinking about like the rights of black people in this country and gay people and women, whatever. But now it comes out 30, 40, 50 years later, and it's like, okay, the way you've portrayed these people is like insensitive and unrealistic, and how people thought, like people back then that wanted these liberal ideals, they they weren't they weren't woke enough. And so now when we try to show their work, it's like it seems like almost like a racist person did it. And it was almost like they were racist, but they were doing the best they could, but they were less racist than everybody else. So it's difficult. Then that brings me up to the idea that um, there are these artists in the world that produce really great art. Jackson Pollock allegedly killed a girl. Jackson Pollock is like a genius painter, American uh, modern painter, contemporary painter. And I know this because I saw a movie starring Ed Harris, and he was an alcoholic, which, I'm not going to not like his art because he was an alcoholic, but apparently he pretty much made this girl get into a car with him when he was really, really drunk. Then he wrapped the car around a tree, and the girl flew out the car and died, and he did not die. That's what happened in the movie, all right? I don't know that they're just going to make up that he killed a girl in a car accident, but I guess they could have taken some creative license with it. But yeah, so there's that truth about Jackson Pollock. Um, I also heard that Picasso was a misogynist. He hated women and might have done terrible things to women. I also heard that, let's see, who else? Who else can I target tonight? What other men are the target of my attack? Oh fuck, I just had it in my head. There was another artist, Marco Polo. No, it's not it. It'll come to me. There's been a number of like artists and musicians throughout decades that probably were terrible to women or people of color, obviously, and there are people in our more modern day and age like Bill Cosby, Louis C.K., Kevin Spacey. These are all people who have made amazing art, and they're beloved by so many. Michael Jackson, and yet they did or allegedly did really, really terrible things. And most of them have been canceled in a way because of it. But it's like, how can we look at their art and still be able to say, like, this art is like really good art, even if the artist that made it was terrible? Oh, I was thinking of Wagner was an anti-Semite. Hated Jews. Hated them. Hitler loved Wagner. Although Wagner was a composer like way before, I think before World War One. So he was long dead, I think, before Hitler was even born. Maybe, maybe not. Don't check the facts on that, please. Don't. Just listen to me and believe everything I say. My name is Donald Trump. I can't believe that just came out of my mouth. I feel fucking wretched. I need some Prosecco. I'm going to take a Prosecco break in a second. I'm going to listen to that audio recording and see if I forgot to say anything. How do we do it? I'm thinking of Roseanne. I was just talking about Roseanne earlier. Roseanne, I don't even remember what she said or did, but she did and said some terrible shit. And I loved her show. And I was so excited they were going to reboot it. And then she did that crazy, she said and did some crazy fucking shit. Like, I think it was racist shit or something. And now she's a huge fucking Trumper. Ugh. And she's really gone off the rails. And she's even madder. She's mad as a hornet that, like, you know, she got canceled, obviously. And the show continued without her. And they just changed the name. And they, like, you know, all the other actors stayed on it. It's still a good show. The Conners is, like, a good show. But it's so sad. I grew up watching, you know, people say, like, I grew up watching Cosby. I grew up watching Roseanne. I grew up watching, listening to the music of this, listening, you know, watching the comedy acts of these people. It's really hard, and you find one after another, these people did bad things to other people, and you're just like, oh my God, like, is there anyone that I've idolized my whole life that, like, didn't rape somebody or jerk off into a plant in front of somebody or, like, you know, hit somebody with their car and get away with it, you know, like, what the fuck, you know? Or, like, actually want, you know, a group of people to be exterminated. Like, what the fuck? It's hard. It's really hard. Pause for a brief moment. Our sponsor today is me getting more Prosecco. I can't even tell you the brand name because they're not our sponsor. Hi, friends. This is the second half of the episode. I am recording remotely, kind of. Recording from my living room because I recorded the majority of that episode days ago. This episode, majority of this episode, was so professional, and then was exhausted. Said I'll come back to it, and then days went by because I'm in production week for a show. Anyway, so there was two other things I wanted to say on this topic. I was naming off artists that are, like, awesome artists, but also, like, hey, come on, Toasty, we're gonna talk. Come on, come talk with us, Tulsi. Share with us what you think, Tulsi. Tulsi, what do you think about Bill Cosby? Do you think he's a bad guy, despite all the good years of television he created for the world? What do you think, Tulsi? Do you think it's okay to watch Roseanne? Do you think that we should let Kevin Spacey come back for season 8 of House of Cards? What do you think, Toshi? She says, I don't know. These are too big of problems for me. I'm with a baby. Hey, Toshi, lay on my belly. Toshi, I said lay on my belly. She never does what I tell her to do because she's a gay guy. Are you a gay guy? I was going to say she's a bad girl. She wants something, and I don't have it for her. Sorry, girl. So anyway, the other person I just recently heard about, that is like revered as an amazing artist is Frida Kahlo. Somebody just told me that apparently Frida Kahlo, like, she's like considered like a great Mexican artist, and she is Mexican. She is a female, and at the time there weren't a lot of female artists, but they're starting to say that she appropriated a lot of like indigenous Mexican culture because she's actually like just a white person. Like she's Latina. Oh great. My fucking microwave is beeping. I'm steaming broccoli. You guys, I'm multitasking, okay? I'm doing the best I can. Burping my dog. Trying to get my vegetables in. Come on, Tulsi, let's go look. Let's go look at the microwave before it beeps again. And trying to record this podcast, even though it's officially Friday. But we're not gonna pay attention. We're not gonna pay attention to that because it's better late than never, as we always say. I'm gonna stir the pasta. This is now a cooking show. I'm making homemade mac and cheese and steamed broccoli. That's what I'm gonna have for dinner. Isn't that nice? So anyway, Tulsi, simmer down. What do you want? What do you want? You want a treat? Oh my god, she wants a fucking treat. I just gave you peas. Tulsi loves peas, guys. Everyone is like, we should have stopped listening to this episode like forever ago. Okay, let me put the phone down. Okay. Oh my god, I'm gonna drop it. Here, Tulsi, here's a half of a fake piece of steak. Go get it. No, don't fucking say I never did anything for you, you little bitch. All right. So yeah, Frida Kahlo is like white Spanish Mexican. And so like a lot of the things she like did in her art apparently is very like maybe appropriated from indigenous Mexican culture. So people are kind of like saying like, oh, it's a little cringe, but really, I mean, she's been revered for so long. It's like, I don't know. It is what it is. It's in the past. But they do have a point, I suppose. Anyway, Tulsi, go sit in a basket. The other thing that came up for me in a meditation when I was teaching yoga, apparently the only time I have time to meditate is when I'm actually teaching a yoga class, and I like take my students into Shavasana for literally only 5 minutes, and then I have like these like visions or whatever, and they're not really visions. I just like have time to think, finally. So I was thinking like, just like how we obviously have to have bad in the world in order to know good. Like you have to know what darkness looks like in order to know light. Contrast is absolutely something you have to have, at least in the world we live in. So that makes me wonder if, like, there's even a world where bad doesn't exist. I don't know if it's possible, because I don't know if, like, I don't know. I don't want to say that we need bad stuff, but, like, if you need bad to know good, then you kind of do. And I know someone out there is listening to this and thinking, like, well, who fucking said we needed to know bad to know good? And it's like, just think about it. Just think about the importance of contrast. Think about people that have, like, never ever known real intense evil before, and then people who have. And the people who have are like, no, don't fuck around. Like, don't fuck around. You will find out. And all these other people are just like, oh, I don't know. Nothing's that bad. Whatever. And they kind of just, like, ignore evil for so long. And then all of a sudden, like, real evil occurs. And they're just like, they have no idea. They were not ready for it. They, like, didn't think it was possible. Am I being too vague right now? Do I need to, like, give an example? I don't think I have an example. What the fuck is that? That's the pasta alarm. Okay, Toasty, come on. We go get the pasta. We go get the pasta now. Pasta's probably not even ready. So that's my wonder. Like, I know we're striving to live in a world. Where the fuck is the spoon that I had that I was stirring the pasta with? Am I losing my fucking mind? Is it even possible to live in a world where, like, evil or badness don't exist? You know, I don't know. I mean, obviously some really fucking bad shit happens, and some, like, I don't know. You're just always hoping, like, it just doesn't happen to you or anyone you know. But, like, I don't know. Bad shit happens to everybody. It doesn't just happen to bad people. Good shit doesn't just happen to good people. And people aren't just bad or just good. Like, oh, that pasta's not ready. I was thinking about that, like, for instance, my niece loves to go to TJ Maxx and buy clothes. And it's like, it's really good. Like, clothes are good. They make her happy. She looks cute in them. When people see her wearing them, they're like, oh my God, girl, you look so good. Like, there's just so much happiness around clothes, especially for someone like my niece who's, like, a fashionista. She's like a little style icon. But, like, there's the other side of that where it's like, that's totally, most of these clothes she's wearing are, like, totally fast fashion. Like, they're cheaply made. They might be made by, like, child laborers or, like, indentured people. Like, they're definitely being made in another country where, like, they could be made cheaply and quickly. And there's so much waste. Like, people will say, like, oh my God, I love this shirt, I have to have it. And they'll wear it, like, twice and be like, ugh, I hate that shirt, and they'll throw it away. There's so much waste. There's so much textile waste. And a lot of textiles are made of plastic or other things that have been, like, highly processed or dyed with, like, harsh chemicals. And there's, like, all this, like, runoff from those chemicals. It's like, there's, if you think about it, there's so much bad that comes with the production of clothing. But, like, we need to have clothes, but also, like, we don't have to have a ton of clothes. We just need to have, like, enough clothes. And most people have, like, way more clothing than they need. And the industry just keeps producing more and more because they know that every time we just have a bad day, we're going to go buy another ... Because we can buy it at TJ Maxx. for $20. And it probably cost like 20 cents to make it. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh God. But that's just one example. And I know these aren't new theories, but like, how can something that makes someone so happy be so terrible for somebody else? Is it essential that all those other people had to suffer for that first person to feel happy? Is there a world where like there's enough for everyone to be happy without anyone having to suffer? I mean, it probably comes from like happiness that has nothing to do with materials or objects. It probably has to do with like an internal happiness that you just like feel when you're like I don't know, when you meditate for fucking ever and find it. I mean, I know there's happiness, there's joy, there's bliss that comes, and it doesn't require any money to be spent. And in that sense, like, and it's free, like, you know, like if my joy comes from like sitting in the park, I could do that for free. And other people could sit in the park too. We could all sit in the park. Of course, somebody has to maintain the park. But it's probably a person getting paid, we hope. Hopefully they're being paid a livable wage. I mean, you could really just analyze all these things. There's enough room in the universe for everyone to be happy without anybody else having to be unhappy. My pasta's ready. You guys, I think I can go on and on about this forever, but it comes up, it's not a different conversation than the whole thing of like, obviously people can be, to somebody, Bill Cosby was an amazing guy, a hero, an idol, blah, blah, blah. To another person, he was a monster. You know? Like, people are more than one thing. Things are more than one thing. It's very interesting. Isn't that interesting? I'm going to pour out my pasta now, and I can't do that with one hand, or I might scald myself. And then someone somewhere else will probably be happier because I got scalded, but I refuse to be scalded if I can prevent it. So thank you guys so much for listening. I hope that you rate, review, subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And please, if you would, send us an email, makesexwithmepodcast@gmail.com. And I hope you guys are eating late night. I hope you guys are making mac and cheese and broccoli at midnight sometime between a Thursday and a Friday. And I hope you guys are filling your holes with whatever makes you happy. Bye-bye.